So Miyabi has finally arrived in Zenless Zone Zero, and again, to keep it short, she's absolutely busted. She's super fun to play. She's cool, and she has some big old freaking fox ears, and the freaking Virgil reference, and oh, you know how it goes. So yeah, let's just get right into how to Miyabi. So Miyabi is the newest S rank Frost Anomaly unit. Keep in mind, Frost is a new element. It plays very similar to Ice, but there are quite a few differences. I think this is like gonna be like very unique to her. I'm not sure if we'll get more Frost units in the future, but if you're looking for a strong main DPS, then she's easily gonna be answered. Like she is absolutely fun. She is broken. She does all of the above, right? So to get into her kit right away, so for her normal attack, Miyabi will unleash 5 slashes ahead. The first 3 deal physical damage, and the last 2 deal frost damage. Keep in mind, frost damage is also new, and it pairs with her frost anomaly type. However, keep in mind that when Miyabi has at least 2 points of fallen frost, and I'll show some gameplay here so you know where to find the fallen frost points. Hold their basic attack to enter the Shimotsuki stance, and this stance has a maximum of 3 charge levels, right? So charge level 1, 2, and 3. Each one has a different animation and does different damage and has different multipliers. And keep in mind, for each level, it will consume 2 points of Fallen Frost. And after you've reached level 3 or consumed all the points you have of Fallen Frost, Miyabi will unleash the slashes ahead of her, dealing frost damage. And keep in mind, she is also invulnerable during the stage, so you don't have to worry about getting hit, getting damaged, staggered. And also, one last thing, Miyabi has a max stack of 6 Fallen Frost points, and when entering battle, she immediately gains 3 points of Fallen Frost. For her dodge, after Miyabi deals a perfect dodge, press Miyabi's basic attack to deal frost damage. Any other thing that isn't a perfect dodge won't deal frost damage, so keep that in mind. For Miyabi's special attack, she sends out slashes ahead of her and it deals frost damage. If you have enough energy, you can also press the special attack button again to do a follow-up, dealing frost damage to enemies in front of her and gain 2 more points of Fallen Frost. So you can gain a total of 4 total points of Fallen Frost if you have enough energy to do the EX special attack twice. When you trigger a chain attack, select Miyabi to deal massive frost damage over a wide area. This will be good to just deal DPS, nothing too special about it. For her ultimate, when Miyabi uses her ultimate, she will deal frost damage over a large area and gain 3 points of Fallen Frost, and you will also increase ice damage by 30% for 12 seconds. Keep in mind, this is only for her, not for her team. And now, the absolute meat and bones and potatoes of Miyabi, her core passive. Bear with me because it is a lot of like reading and explaining. So here we go. I'll just dive right into it. So when Miyabi deals frost damage, she will apply the ice fire status to the target for 30 seconds. When building frost anomaly on enemies with ice fire status, the frost anomaly buildup rate is increased by 100% of Miyabi's crit rate up to a maximum of 80%. Keep in mind though that Frost has its own buildup gauge and triggers Freeze, Shatter, and Frostbite, which then can react with other anomalies. So she works really well with other anomaly units. That's not all. When Miyabi applies Frostbite to enemies with the Ice Fire status, it will consume the Ice Fire status to trigger Frostburn Break, dealing damage equal to X% of Miyabi's attack, and it will cause the target to enter the Frostburn state. All party members will accumulate X% more anomaly buildup against enemies with the Frostburn status. Keep in mind that once the enemies are in the Frostburn state, Miyabi will not reapply the Ice Fire status. The Frostburn status will end when Frostbite expires, and do keep in mind that triggering other anomalies will overwrite Frostbite and remove the Frostburn status. Finally, when Miyabi triggers Frostburn Break, Miyabi will gain 1 point of Fallen Frost, and this can happen once every 10 seconds. And I know that sounds like quite a lot, and I'll try and like draw up a diagram to like explain it. But essentially, what you want to do is you want to use Miyabi to apply the Ice Fire status on any target, right? And this will happen whenever you just deal damage with her, right? Essentially, after the enemies have this Ice Fire status, when Miyabi applies Frostbite, it'll consume the Ice Fire status and then give them the Frostburn state, which basically means that your allies will have higher anomaly buildup rate, and it will deal like big damage on like Miyabi's side, like when she initially does it, when she initially triggers it. And I say X% because it's kind of gonna depend on like what level you have it at. And also this will also give Miyabi like the 1 point of Fallen Frost anytime she triggers Frostburn Break. So pretty good to build up stat or to build up the points and keep using her basic hold. For her additional ability, when another party member is a support character or is a part of Section 6, the Shimotsuki stance damage is increased by 60%. When a party member triggers a disorder, Miyabi will gain 2 points of Fallen Frost, and basic attacks from the Shimotsuki stance will ignore 30% of the target's ice res. So this will be really good, especially if you have Yanagi, if you pulled for her. Lucy can be a good substitute. Nicole can work as well. You just always want to make sure you have either a Section 6 party member or a support type character somewhere in your party. Those are your main priorities for your team building. And then the third slot can be flex, but we'll get more into that on the teams. For her assist skills, her quick assist, press the assist button to cause Miyabi to send slashes forward, dealing frost damage. For her defensive assist, press the assist button to cause Miyabi to parry the enemy attack and cause daze. Assist follow-up, press the basic attack after a defensive assist to deal frost damage. Now for all my big spenders out there, I'll go over Miyabi's Mindscapes. Her M1, while in the Shimotsuki stance, every 1 point of Fallen Frost consumed will allow the attack to ignore 6% of defense, and this stacks up to 6 times, lasting until the end of the stance. Also, when the level 3 charge attack of the stance hits a target with the Frostburn status, it will immediately remove the status and increase all party members' anomaly buildup rate for 20% for 10 seconds. Her M2, basic attack and dodge counter damage increased by 30%. Miyabi will also gain 1 point of Fallen Frost when her 5th attack of her basic attack combo string hits a target. And finally, when Miyabi enters the battle, she will start off with 6 points instead of 3. And her crit rate will be increased by 15%. Her M3 and M5, basic attack, dodge, assist, special attack, and chain attack level are increased by +4 at both M3 and M5. For her M4, the Frostburn Break damage is increased by 30%, and when triggering Frostburn Break, Miyabi will generate 250% more decibels towards her ultimate. For her M6, during the Shimotsuki stance, Miyabi obtains Polar, which increases her stance damage by 30%. Miyabi will also automatically draw her blade and unleash slashes depending on the charge level, dealing frost damage. Finally, these extra sword draws and slashes will not interrupt the charging of the Shimotsuki stance. So think of it like she seethes her sword, and then as you're charging, it like unseathes itself and it shoots like slashes out, but it doesn't count as you doing it. So it's essentially like you're getting 3 free attacks just because you have her M6. And I think it's gonna look super cool. I'm not gonna get her M6. That is way too expensive. But yes, very, very big damage buff. For her disk drive, the branch and blade 4-piece will be her best in slot no matter what. So the 4-piece will give you a 16% crit damage, and when anomaly mastery is equal or greater to than 115, crit damage is increased by 30%. And also, when any party member applies freeze or triggers shatter, the wearer's crit rate increases by 12%, lasting 15 seconds. Again, the best 4-piece. I don't think there's anything that even comes close to this. So make sure you farm this as soon as possible. For the 2-piece, there's multiple options you could do. I think Woodpecker Electro is going to be the best thing. It gives you 8% crit rate, and since Miyabi requires up to at least 80% crit rate, you want to make sure you get as much of it as possible. However, if you don't want to like overcap on a crit rate, Hormone Punk, which increases her attack by 10%, or Polar Metal, the 2-piece, which increases ice damage by 10%, are both super, super solid options. For main stats, slot 1 is attack, slot 2 is HP, slot 3 is defense, like always. For slot 4, you want to do crit rates. For slot 5, you want to do ice damage bonus. And for slot 6, you want to do attack, since her Frostburn Break does scale off her attack. For substats, you want to do crit rate / crit damage. Again, don't overcap on your crit rate. Followed by attack %, followed by pen ratio. Her best in slot is going to be her signature Hellstorm Shrine. Not only does this give you a 50% increase in crit damage, but when using an EX special attack or when any squad member applies an anomaly on an enemy, the equipper's ice damage is increased by 20%, stacking up to 2 times, and this can last up to 15 seconds. That just sounds absolutely insane, and it's going to be hard to find something to replace that. Second S rank W engine I would recommend would be Fusion Compiler. Not only does this increase attack, but when using special attack or EX special attack, the equipper's anomaly is increased by 25, stacking up to 3 times. And again, just a pretty good solid replacement if you don't have her signature. For A rank options on the W engines, we have Rainforest Gourmet, which increases anomaly proficiency by 30. And for every 10 energy consumed, the equipper gains a 2.5% attack buff that can stack up to 10 times and last 10 seconds. Electro Lip Gloss increases AP by 30, and when the target is inflicted with an anomaly, the equipper's attack increases by 10% and deals an additional 15% more damage to enemies. Keep in mind too that some of these numbers may be slightly different just depending on how many dupes you have in them, so just a heads up. For teams, Miyabi's best premium team is some iteration of Miyabi and Yanagi. You can, again, like I said, that third slot can be a flex unit. I think Light is going to be super solid since he does provide that ice res. He also stuns. Rena's super solid. Caesar, Lycon, Lucy, amazing options. However, not all of us can like afford like Miyabi, Yanagi, and Lighter like back to back to back. So a good like alternative I would do is like Miyabi, Lycon, Sokaku. Sokaku is gonna be on I think one of the two banners. I'm not sure if it's on her banner or on Haramusa's banner. But this is a mono ice team focusing on giving Miyabi the most buffs possible. And again, like I said, since Sokaku is on the banner, you will be able to get a lot of dupes. One team I'm personally excited to run is Miyabi, Lucy, and Lighter. Since I do have Lighter, and I hopefully am going to pull Miyabi, I'll be able to have that Lucy support unit to activate Miyabi's additional ability. And since Lighter provides Ice Rush Shred, it's just going to be a super solid team, in my opinion. Overall, after doing the research and studying the Miyabi lore, I think it's pretty easy to say that she is a must pull DPS. She's absolutely like busted, and like this character has been hyped since like the beta, so again, I'm not too surprised that they made her like so ridiculous. I think if I had to rate her on a scale of 1 through 5 Wohos, I think Miyabi's gonna take our second 5 out of 5 Wohos that this channel has seen, right? First, Sunday from Honkai Star Rail. Second, Miyabi from Zenless Zone Zero. And again, to no one's surprise, like she's just absolutely broken. Like such a hyped up unit with like such an amazing kit, right? Granted, a lot of text in that kit for sure, but you can't understate how good of a unit she's gonna be. But again, everyone, thank you for tuning into the how-to. How-to Miyabi was a success, and it was fun to do. I'm super excited for this unit. This was like one of the first units I was like super hyped for when the game like first released. And I remember I was gonna save all my summons for her, but that didn't pan out quite right. So yeah, thank you everyone. Have a wonderful day. And as I always say, trolls don't get blocked.